Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and well, it is finally now actually the 14th, so of March.
13th over here.
Yeah, it's still the 13th for you. That's right. So, okay. I just wanted to put our information in and hit the go live button, and it's thinking about it. So I think we're back. I'm with BZ Rieger and Lisa Flameno Rush, and we are resuming our decode
Part 6.
part 6. Yep. Actually,
Part
this
7.
this will be part 7, won't it? Or
Yes, part 7. Sorry.
that's right. Okay, thank you. I was about to say, did I really have messed it up that night? Okay.
All right, so we're on 31.
Number 31.
Yes.
Wow, and we already have 8 folks, I think. If am I in the right place? What am I doing here? Sorry, go ahead, BZ.
We are at a critical time in the fight against the virus. We made a life-saving move with early action on China. Now we must take the same action with Europe. It's a long paragraph, relatively so I'm going to read it all and then go back. We will not delay. I will never hesitate to take any necessary steps to protect the lives, health, and safety of the American people. I will always put the well-being of America first. So I left a few words out that didn't highlight it for me. It's interesting, Sheila, you talked on other paragraphs that just either the languaging or the grammar. We are at a critical time in the fight against the virus, not this virus, the virus. And one could say, well, that's the only virus that people are talking about. Well, no, because if you just have the flu, that's the virus that you're talking about, right?
Yep.
And nonetheless, it has specificity and particularity to it, so you name it. And it would be this virus, not the virus. As in the scourge of the earth that has been plaguing us, we're not going to hesitate and we're going to nail it now. It's go time, is basically what this is saying. We made a life-saving move. Okay, there's stuff in that. Again, talking about all the things with countermanding China's war, but an economic war. And I don't know if most people know this, but they are the top securitors and owners of all the prison bonds. And other people may not know this too, but the court systems are just banks. You can go look at the CRIS, which is a document that's put out by them that shows you how their trading goes and how it works and how everything is monetized, all the cases, all of the hearings, all of it. CRIS, Court Registry Information Investment System. So China is a big player in a whole lot of things, most of it behind the scenes that most people don't know anything about, but it controls every inch of your life. And thwarts would probably be a more accurate way, every inch of your life. So when he says here, we made a life-saving move with early action on in China, that's what he's referring to. Now we must take the same action with Europe. So even to the geographically challenged, the United Kingdom is in Europe. He's not talking about that. We've already discussed that because of Brexit, because of exiting from the European Union, and because of the deals the new treaties, the new agreements, some of them have been in plain sight, some of them have been revealed partially with a cover, and some of them not at all for the most part. Although, again, if you went back and listened to the speech or read the transcript of the first actual Independence Day that this country celebrated, which was last year, you will hear very explicit language about those treaties that were signed. What I'm talking about. So that to me is very clearly what this is talking about. One of the main countries that's the hottest hot spot purportedly of beer thing is also a country with a country inside of the country, which has been closed off and is one hell of a hotbed for all sorts of things that's being closed down.
Okay, so that was a little cryptic, BZ. So I know that you're referring to Italy, and you're also referring to the Vatican, because not everybody knows that the Vatican is its own country within Italy, and with its own police and its own everything. And so I wanted to make that very clear that that's what you were referring to.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, I want to, if you don't mind, I have to address a comment in the chat before it gets too far away from me. Keith Gray is asking if I'm drinking moonshine. No, I am not. with the, I don't know how long you've been with us, but if I was drinking moonshine this whole time, I think I'd be under the desk by now. Because I don't know, this is like, I don't know what, my third or fourth full jug. So no.
It's
just hard to say.
It's H2O.
Yes, absolutely. I am around here. I've been known to be called the water Nazi. So that's what that is.
But you're around here because of it.
Well, that's true. I absolutely am. Ask me how I know the hydration is so important to your body. I wanted to say, BZ, before you got too far on this, because something huge came in for me about we made a life-saving move with early action on China.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that was not only in regards to blocking travel. I feel like that was what he began when he took office. It had to do with what he did with the trade.
Right.
I mean, this was way more than that.
Yes.
And I feel like that was a life-saving move on a whole bunch of different levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to say
yeah, that's what I was referring to, because it has
okay.
to do with the whole globalization and the whole thought to shift the rulers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came
because not a lot of people know either that weren't they scheduled to be the next? I mean, I know
yes,
that
that's what I mean. The war was on. It just didn't have, shots from lead bullet firing.
Right.
Yeah. So Lisa, anything for you in the beginning there?
No, not that you guys haven't already covered.
So we will not delay. That was a shout out to all those who say nothing's happening.
Well, yeah, I heard just wait a nanosecond too.
Right.
And so time's up on all accounts, and like I said, he alluded to, well, specifically actually paragraph or two ago about oh no, actually that's today, phases, right? So these phases will roll very quickly now, and Durham is part of a phase. It's not a whole phase by itself, but indictments. What I've heard is a number of people who seem to get direct intel that's credible and has keep proving so, that he will just go directly to grand juries and not even have a report. So you'll hear from him. He'll go to the mic, and it won't be like Horowitz who says, well, this is the thing, and here's the summary, and Congress can have me come before them and give, I'll give testimony. He'll skip all that. There won't be a report. There will be cases.
Well, there's plenty of
actually will be just tribunals.
I was going to say there's plenty of sealed indictments already, so
right,
pretty sure.
So again, at the end here in this paragraph, he's talking about, I'll never hesitate to take any necessary steps to protect the lives, health, and safety of the American people. Okay, yes, that's fits in with a virus, the virus, the foreign virus, all of that. But he's reconfirming, actually, which is something that many of these beings have not done. They all have taken an oath, not only when they came to this planet, but being an officer of the law or in the army or in any corporation. They swear, police officers, congressmen, senators, all that, all take various different oaths, to the Constitution, all of those kinds of things. And what he's telling you right here is he's recommitting to his oath, to each one of us, to himself, to Source. And we talked about this, Sheila and I, right, when we were first looking at this, when we made the transcript. It reminded me very much of Obi-Wan, when he allows Darth Vader, to strike him down, because the power of him, it is not just him, it's the Force. It's that life force. It's that eternal essence embodied that has been unleashed and has reached that expansion point where there is no going back. And there's another one of those things where that's that play on the metaphor of nothing can stop what's coming. You bet. You absolutely bet. And yeah, indictments and various tribunals and all that kind of stuff, but that's not the nothing that can stop what's coming that's being referred to in the nothing can stop what's coming.
Agreed.
Because your small ship has sailed, it went off the flat earth and fell down, and that's it. It's done. So you becoming fully the truth of who you are is what cannot be stopped. Even you, if you wanted to, couldn't stop it. And right now is when it's happening.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And just to be clear, for anybody who might wonder, I don't know what BZ's feeling is about whatever the earth is, but I feel like it is whatever you think it is. If you think it's flat, it's flat. If you think it's round, it's round. If you think it's amoeba shaped, it's amoeba shaped. And I truly feel, because we all create our own reality, and that's what I wanted to say that specifically, because I heard a few people go out there like, what? That's what they believe? And I just want to be very clear. I've had a lot of folks ask me that question, and as a creator being, I that's the way I look at it. So it is whatever.
Well, it works better with the analogy, because if it's round, it's more likely to.
Yeah, no,
the viscousness of the water, if it's going like this, is go off the edge of the table and fall on the floor.
No, I gotcha.
The cat takes my pen and.
I feel you, but I heard it. I heard the, so I wanted to say very clearly how I feel about that. And I'm not attached to anybody having it whichever way they want it to be either, because it affects me zero.
Anything else you guys saw in those sentences?
Well, no, just to reiterate what you said, when I read that part, when I heard him say that,
Yeah.
I actually had the video play in my head, because when it happened, I didn't understand it, because, I'm a lifelong Democrat. Not that I cared for who else was up there, but when I saw him in his inauguration, and the military came and stood behind him, I thought somebody miscued them. I didn't know what was going on, right? I do now, but when I saw this, and when I read it and think about it again now, when he said that, I saw again that portion of the video where he means business,
Oh yeah.
and he's got backup. you know I saw that video play again, that he will never hesitate to take the necessary steps to protect the lives, health, and safety of the American people. And I saw that play again for me.
Right.
And
But in return,
say
so
what, honey?
he's backed those words up with action.
Yes.
Yes.
And he started from before he even, took on the mantle. And what I think a lot of people, okay, some people, well, a lot of people lose is that he took on the mantle of president, and he gave it to each one of us. He took on the oath, and he gave us that oath, and he said, do you take that oath? Do you stand up for you? Do you stand up for the collective as a whole, and the collective that is this country? That's what he took on, and what he's telling here. And so when he says everybody's to do their part, whether it's just about the beer thing, which it's not, it's a really good time to put in that noticing thing. And when you're kibitzing about something, or complaining about something, or thinking about something related to this or anything else, that in this moment, this landscape of the world has changed. So in this new landscape that we're in this nanosecond moment, because it's going to change again in the morning, what will you do? What are you contributing? What are you recommitting to? What oath are you giving to yourself, to all of you? That's the other thing. It's not just in the shirt. And it's I'm not sure why it seems easy, but it's certainly reflexive, where people say, well, how are we going to create that, or how are we going to have this new system, instead of, what do I choose to create, or wow, look what's bubbling up in me, and that's not really creative. Or, well, if I am a creative being and I'm creating stuff, ick, right? Are we looking at that? Or are we so putting all of our effort and all of the resources, which are unlimited, in the capacity to create things in yet again an unconscious way? So it's his oath and his pledge to us, and all of Source's multiverses, but it's asking, where will you stand up for that? And where do you?
Right. Well, and I really feel like what you just said there, BZ, actually kind of goes right into the next one, number 32, with if we are vigilant.
Yes.
Because again, it's for me, he's saying that very same thing again. Are you vigilant? Are you paying attention to all of you, on all levels of you? I really felt that in a very real way, especially with his words of, he would never hesitate, and he's not going to hesitate.
Right.
And I think that's been, like you said, that's been made clear It feels to me that it has on a
Yeah,
lot of
from the
different
get-go.
levels. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and even in the way, again, for me, the grammar, the way this is done, and we took this right from the White House, and
This
if
was what was on the teleprompter. This was what he read.
right,
So it
I,
hasn't been messed around with or
no, exactly, that's what I'm saying, and the way if we are vigilant and there's I don't know, what is that, a hyphen? It's not a hyphen, it's a long line, and we can reduce the chance of infection. It's like that was a for me, again, it was a complete thought. If we are vigilant and we can reduce the chance of infection, which we will. I'm saying that he's again, he's putting it back on us,
right.
and calling us and saying, I think we got this. We will do this. We will significantly impede the transmission of the virus. The virus will not have a chance against us. And again, like you said before, he's not it's not just that named thing.
Right. Because the virus is how that named thing came into being and unleashed on with intention on it. So that's the other thing I think a lot of people forget. They're not following the thread in the loop. And so someone, Sheila, you picked them and had a question last night about, well, in the real world or being linear is something or other. Well, that's linear. That's pretty damn linear, right? The virus was made, targeted specifically to have certain components in it, had a patent on it, had funding already generated to then get the money making, you know, um, inoculation to then put other stuff in there. Unleashed, and here's for linear. The source codes went through and mutated it, which not only mutated the virus and its ability to do what the intention was and totally blow that, but it also mutated it so that all of the creative pathways and the exponential growth and spread of that inverted into what has now changed the entire landscape, not only of this planet, but all sources multiverses, because now it's game on. In the final inning, this is the final snap of the football for the final touchdown.
I have to agree.
In that inversion, because of what happened. So that's just linear. Just look at the linear timeline. But it's all multidimensional, because you can't be multidimensional without having linearity in it. And you can't have linearity in you without being multidimensional.
No, that's true. There's a comment in our chat, ladies, that I want to bring up, because we've been doing this now. This is our third night doing this? Well, yeah, because BZ and I started Wednesday, we did Thursday, and we've done tonight. Donovan Myers said, I definitely don't know Trump, but is he really that awake and aware on so many levels? Honestly, he seemed a bit shallow before becoming president. And I'd love for the two of you to weigh in on that too, but I want to say this. I don't know Trump either. And again, I've been a lifelong Democrat. Harry S. is an ancestor of mine, Harry S. Truman. And so, as you might imagine, my entire family was Democrat. I told my dad that he was a distraction when he started running. I said, I don't know what from, but he's a distraction because he couldn't possibly be really, really. Nobody would put that guy in office. And I also, the only other thing I knew about him was his stint with the WWE and one of his real good friends, Vince McMahon. But I'm a really good puzzle piece collector. And I've been watching this and I've been paying attention this time around. As I said, when he took office, I watched his inauguration live. And I didn't quite grok all of what I was seeing. And do I know for a fact that he knows for a fact what he's doing? No, I don't know that. But there are an awful lot of indications that even if he doesn't on a 3D linear level know that he is multidimensional and that he's writing this and doing this, some part of him on some level does know. And I feel that very strongly. And everything I've seen and everything I've watched tells me that that is so. Now, that's just me, and everybody gets to choose what they think and feel for themselves. But there's been way too much that has gone on in the last 3 years for me to have any other kind of thought or feeling about this. Like I said, I don't know the guy personally. I have no clue where his spirituality lies or anything else, but I do also know that what I feel, I don't know it, I feel that there's, whether intentionally or not, there's been some heavy duty training going on. I feel like I had a whole lot of training for this moment right now and all my life. And I didn't know that until the last 2 years, actually, is when I realized that my entire life leading up to now, I've been training for this right now. And I know that with all of me. And so when I look back and I see his trajectory and the things that he's done and the people that have coached him along the way in some of that, including his stint with the WWE and The Apprentice, I see he's been in training too.
Yep, absolutely.
I bet money that every single one of you that are listening to this now, if you look back on your life, you can say that you've been training all your life too. Question is, are you ready to step into the role you've been training for?
Right.
That's what I feel. And that's what I think is going on with DJT right now. Whether he knows it or not, whether he believes it or not, that's what's happening.
He does know it. He does believe it.
Say what, BZ?
He does know it. And he does believe it. If you watch certain things, I too was a lifelong Democrat and apolitical for the most part. When I saw that Trump was running, I thought, well, that's interesting. And I was trying to kind of think from a linear way how it was, because I knew what was coming and all that was at stake with tearing down the financial slavery and all that kind of stuff and all the things underneath the fold of that.
Yeah, so you had all that under your belt, but I want to make it clear, I didn't have any of that. I didn't know any of
When
this.
I saw him come forward, I thought, well, I didn't see that coming. And I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. And then I got nudged and I found an article, which is on the IVA. Not that long ago, I made it sticky, so it was on the front. It's back where it was. So it came out in September of 2016, I think, when I found it. And very simply, because I can read the energy of him, it was a photo expose. Someone had found, I think it's at a thrift store, was like a suitcase full of stuff, and she just thought she was getting a suitcase, just she wanted to make something out of it or wanted to use it as a suitcase. And inside was all these photographs of Trump and his family, his young children, babies, and all around. And there was, some text with it, but mostly it was just a photo essay. And when I looked at him, I thought, Well, that's why he's running, and that's why he'll win, and that's why we're game on now with starting this whole in earnest down this road. Because the light that was shining through him, and also from the linear standpoint, the grit and the grime that was needed to go through and be the catalyst and have been in those places and had the things for the training that he needs was absolutely right there. Another telling thing was, if you watched on election night and his acceptance speech, he was late coming out, and the first thing he says, he genuinely says thank you to everybody. He gets everybody shut down, and he looks back to where he just was having a meeting. And this is where, again, he has his own euphemisms and rhythm and stuff that's characteristic for him, as we all do, and that served him well. It actually serves us all well, whether sometimes we think it's negative or positive. It does. But he turns and he looks back, and in kind of almost to himself, the mic is on and he's right there with all the people and live television. He said it took a little longer. It's complicated, and you can see him reliving the conversation that he's just had. Now, keep in mind that room that he's been in with the meeting not only has various of the white hat generals from various branches of the services and the Space Force, even though it hadn't been an official one at that time there. But he's got non-locals in that meeting, all prior to coming out, because now everything is unfolding. So yes, I think on different levels, he's always known, and maybe not cognitively or right up here, as Sheila says, in various instances. And he may not have given voice to it in that specific way, but absolutely, he was. That's why he came here.
So what would you like to say on this, Lisa?
I agree with both of you. Every word that's uttered here, I agree with. And for me, I'm also in this phase of my life where I am actively remembering that everyone is source. And so I'm looking for the message from source in every communique. So not only from our president, but from my next door neighbor, from the cashier who's checking out my groceries, wherever I may be, I realize that source is talking to me. Mm-hmm. And so I think everybody is here on a major mission with a huge role, whether it be the president or the cashier at the gas station. And that I'm carrying that forth and doing kind of what we're doing here with the president's words, with everything. I'm asking myself to show me what I need to see and know right now. Mm-hmm. And so then it's not dependent upon what does this person know, or how evolved are they, or what are they doing behind closed doors, because really none of that matters, in that all of it is source communicating to me. And so I like to play this game that we're playing right now with every communication that's coming forth, and allowing myself to see, sense, and feel the message that source has for me. Right. And so, yeah, I also agree that he does know. Now, I don't think any one of us has the complete picture and knows everything that's coming. And I think each one of us has our own little bit of information to share that's just unique and special because it came through us to this world. And so I want to make sure that I'm listening and taking in every piece that source is offering me in this now. And that all together, we create the big picture, or all of it. So I think, there's a surprise in it for all of us. And there's also the bits that's, oh, I knew it. I knew that was coming.
Right.
you know, and I didn't know it would be purple. So, woohoo, that was exciting.
No, I love the way you put that.
Piece of it.
I love the way you put that, Lisa, because what a lot of us tend to forget, and myself included, is that we are all one. And that does include even those that are making plea deals right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there are messages for each one of us in anything and everything. That's why I like the idea of being a puzzle piece collector.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot, I've seen a lot of folks say, oh, well, I won't listen to that guy over there because their information isn't any good, or they're co-opted or whatever. And I'm like, but there's information in everything. There's data, as you guys are very well, and Heather says there's data, there's data, however you want to call it, in everything. And if source, if the one, if we're speaking to each other, there's always something in it. There's always something. And if there's not, okay, so big deal, whatevs, you know. But more often than not, something later on down the line, even if I've dismissed it. Oh, remember when that, oh man, oh, I missed it then, but that's happened to me a lot. So as our consciousness expands, that's going to happen more and more and more too.
Right.
So I thank you so much, Donovan. I wanted to thank you for that question, or for what you said there, because that brought out quite a bit here that I feel needed to actually be added to all of this. So, and thank you both for participating there. So,
Okay, we're on 33. Yes.
Yes.
No nation is more prepared or more resilient than the United States. So that was the main thing that lit up for me. He goes on to say, we have the best economy, the most advanced healthcare, and the most talented doctors, scientists, and researchers anywhere in the world. And the very last part was something that lit up for me. So for me, one of the reasons that the first sentence, no nation is more prepared or more resilient than the United States, is when you look at the world, the planet, and the energy neighborhoods and frequencies is there, and the path within the plan of the unwinding and unbinding. There's different roles, and in the roles of timing, which is not timing as in linear timing driven, but event driven, so or expansion driven would be the more accurate, right? In that whole way that the warp and the weave of that unwinding and unbinding was laid out, the United States was the one. It was the new world, and so the epicenter of pulling all the threads to unwind and unbind to create the new earth. So for me, it seems that he's giving, again, a nod to that, not only in the context of the beer thing, but that, look at the groundswell. The perceived notion is that the U.S. or that Trump is this mock, and the rest of the world is laughing or not paying attention, whatever. And yet you go and the cameras don't. Well, you gotta have the right camera, but the cameras don't lie when he goes and they're all those people showing up, and they're where we go one, where we go all, letters, different places, all sorts of those kinds of things. And it's one of those things where if there's someplace other than this country, they may not be American, but we're all American, because in essence we're all source, we're all eternal essence beings, and this just happens to be the geolocation where our particular mission is, but our missions all weave and intersect and come through that. So that was my feeling on that part. And The last part that highlighted was he's talking about how we have the best and most advanced, and then he gives a list of those, and researchers anywhere in the world. And that's definitely a nod to those who some refer to technically as anons and all that, but where they've gone and they've done what they feel moved to do, however that showed itself, to go down a rabbit hole, to look at this, to create that, to talk to this, to just start up this video show, whatever it is, and then dig deep despite and at a huge cost of doing that, whether it's because you're the weird sheep or the black sheep or whatever it is, and whether it's family or marriage or friend circle or job or whatever in the community, whatever it is. Various beings have paid various prices, and many of them dear in various ways. And that's okay, because they trained for that and they knew that coming in, and they wouldn't have it any other way. In fact, the price was pretty cheap compared to what they're unfolding, what we're all doing here, what is being coming forth, and the sheer fun of the sheer enormity of the expansion that's occurring, and the play that's unfolding. A play on the word of play in many different ways and iterations. So that's what I got from that.
How about you, Lisa?
Yeah, I too felt like that was a reference to how great each and every one that stands up is. And I feel too like in a lot of ways, America has sort of been a leader in that. Like, we really are a group of people that aren't afraid to do something completely different and sort of be a way shower. And so I really think we're celebrating that and encouraging that, like that pride, because we really do as a nation sort of exemplify that. And that's what we're doing now too, because it's sort of starting here. The dominoes are being knocked over by us and what we're doing. And we called this forth to make this happen and to speed it up now. That it's like, all of the research, all of the hard work has brought us to this place.
Well, for me personally, now, I want to be clear here that for whatever the reason, I don't feel that his words in this, that he, again, whether he knew that or not, but for some reason, when I read this, and I actually felt it in your words as well, Lisa, I feel Atlantis in this, and I'll tell you why. Partly because there's, this thought or this feeling, I think partly because of Edward Casey, wasn't his last name Edward Casey? That those that have incarnated on this landmass en masse are those who were sort of responsible for what took place, right? At least in part, for whatever happened in Atlantis. And as I read this, now there are those that would say, well, that's more of that American exceptionalism and all of that sort of thing. And yes, I do know, I'm aware that in our past, we've acted like we're, the world's policemen, and we've stomped and killed and bombed and all that. And I get that. That was under, that is the past, and that is part of that virus that we're getting rid of.
Right.
But I can't help it, but every time I've read it, And even when you were speaking on it, I feel that in here somehow. And don't that I really don't know where or why I'm feeling that. But I had to say it because when I first read it, I felt it. When you just spoke again, Lisa, I felt it. And so I don't know that I have nothing else to offer, but for some reason I'm feeling that in these words. It came up.
What came forward for me when both of you, in addition to what I was feeling in the pictures that came there, but when you both were sharing about it, is that it's talking about no nation is more prepared, more resilient than the United States, so the United States. But he's talking about frequency.
Yes.
He's talking about an inspired or in spiros, the breath of God idea.
Right.
And you won't see a more poignant, interesting enough, in China, a more poignant example of that than those, long since forgotten with Wuhan and the rest, but in Hong Kong, protesting in their streets, and with the American flag and cheering and singing, God bless America.
Yeah,
Right?
that's happening worldwide, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. So it transcends Orange Man Bad or Trump the Great or
Right.
whatever you're feeling, right? It's
Yes.
a frequency,
Yes.
and it's the frequency of light. And yes, you can say, with everything, there are various iterations of, okay, maybe I wasn't the cleanest on that frequency, or I was kind of a bitch on that, or whatever. Yeah, because that's part of expansion, because that's going forth to know source and taking out as far as you can. That's our job.
Yeah.
But that's how I see when you guys, that just, you said it beautifully, that's what it's bringing forth. And you can see those are nowhere near the United States.
Right.
And they're
right
they're
there.
reflecting it right back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to thank you, Kevin. He corrected me. It was Edgar Casey.
Yeah, Edgar.
Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't get the name out, but
That's okay. He forgives you.
oh, thank you.
34. We are all in this together. Hey, that might as well say
Where we go on, we go all. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We must put politics aside, stop the partisanship, and unify together as one nation and one family. And again, that one nation and one family highlighted because it goes back to what we were just, all giving voice to of the part before, that it's a family. So it is that singularity and that oneness, that coherence. We've become a coherent, unified structure of the light that has reached beyond critical mass and is turning the dark to light.
My heart could burst because I feel the truth of that. You can feel that, like I'm saying, even in the grocery store, even at the gas station, it's radiating out of everyone and everything right now. And if you pay attention, you can't miss it.
Can't.
Just there.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you guys, I just heard somebody, and it may not be anybody that's in the room with us right now, but I just heard somebody say, oh, well, there's people out there beating each other up for toilet paper. And I want to say this about that. That is a very specific frequency that is being perpetuated on purpose.
Yes.
Right.
I have said many, 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 many times, and everybody's probably tired of hearing it, but I lived for 3 months with no power in Charleston, South Carolina after Hurricane Hugo. I saw firsthand what humanity really is like. And what happened at the local BJ's or Sam's or wherever that happened at ain't it. And that's not how it actually goes when you know, push comes to shove. And so what Lisa's speaking on there, that's a bunch of people in fear,
Yeah.
trying to get days. So, you know,
It's a choice. Well, and it's a choice point. It's an expansion point, and that's interesting. You know, this is having a go of that. Okay, well, you can play with that. You can choose to now or later play with that and go through it.
right.
And there are no coincidences. So those two beings, if there was only two of them, you know, that were going through the toilet apocalypse and getting into a scuffle, right? They had something to give to each other. They had something to transmit and co-experience with each other.
Yeah.
Because that's not everybody's thing, you know. With, I mean, I had experiences with the toilet paper apocalypse, and for me it was a wonderful thing because I used it as a way to roar with laughter and then start a conversation and go, you know, it's curious how we let a box dictate how we should think or feel. And I was talking to employees, you know, lead employees who were managing of that section or whatever it was, department, and they had the company line right on the tongue, and then they were like, "Well, yeah," and then they started, and then they turned and were talking to other people. So it was this ripple that went through, and it was a consciousness erasing thing, an opening, a stop and notice for a moment. So again, you know, we all draw because we all transmit and have that reciprocal relationship as we're moving through that. So there was a gift that was given there. Okay, maybe it didn't seem like it at the time, but that's what's occurring. There's no coincidences in anything.
Yeah.
Especially not now.
Yeah, no, too true.
Okay, so we're on 35. As history has proven time and time again, Americans always rise to the challenge and overcome adversity. I mean, other than that ties in specifically to the purported focus of this and all, nothing else really lit up for me.
Yeah, not for me either. Of course, I feel like it's humanity on the whole.
Right.
But I get it. This was a speech for Americans, so I get it.
The next one, however, did. Number 36. Our future remains brighter than anyone can imagine. Acting with compassion and love, we will heal the sick, care for those in need, help our fellow citizens, and emerge from this challenge stronger and more unified than ever before. So that was kind of like, you know, on the beach before you hopped on down to this planet for this mission, you know, rallying cry sort of a thing. It's one of the ways it struck me. And particularly the first sentence, our future remains brighter than anyone can imagine. It's that spark that is igniting, and whether in the throes of toilet paper wars or in, you know, finding humor in that or all sorts of other things, as Lisa just talked about, that spark is there and it's palpable. It you know, it is lighting and inflaming each in the eye, and you can see it. And the beautiful radiance of each being as they're lit from within of that spark is magnificent and so cool to watch within them and have the honor of being able to be in that moment as it is occurring, and you can see it. You know, it's lighting you up too.
I want to say here too, because it's come up again about that toilet paper incident. Even that was shining light and showing something.
Yes.
And this is what I'm talking about, this exercise for myself where I'm allowing everything I see to inform me. And that was really highlighting what the choice of fear does. And it affords me the opportunity to, is that the result I want? Is that the encounters I wish to have? Or not? And if it isn't, then I can make a choice. And by choosing my behavior based upon the outcome that I am desiring, then this is why our future is brighter than we can even imagine. Because when we look at everything with those eyes, we become conscious creators, and that will open up doors that in this moment of now, meaning choosing fear occasionally, we can't even imagine or see from here. And so even these moments serve this future that we're creating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I felt with our future remains brighter than anyone can imagine on just a purely 3D level.
Mhm.
There are things that he has alluded to in some of his rallies. I've seen clips, and
He did it in his
there are
inauguration
things
speech
that,
as well.
huh?
He did it in his inauguration speech as well. He started that thread there.
Well, there are things that he's alluded to, technologies that he is, and all of his comments about red tape being cut to, for me, from just a purely 3D level, not even looking at the rest of the multidimensionality portions of it, there are things he knows
Yep.
that he's getting ready to release and remove the suppression and oppression from, and that was very clear to me in that.
Yes.
Especially when, I mean, you know, that anyone can imagine. So we get the multidimensionality portion of that, because that's what we've all been talking about for, well, you know, going on almost 3 years here on Conscious Conversation Central. And so going on to the next one for me, acting with compassion and love, and there's a comma there, and I think that he's saying we will heal the sick, but this for me is also a call to arms, specifically for all of us, and most specifically the ones who are aware that we are all one and yet singular.
Mm-hmm.
And that unconditional love does not mean except for you and you and you because you're a bad guy. That's not how that works.
Right.
And I, again, whether he knows it or not, the higher portions of him, I really feel that came through here for that. Because
Right.
part of those and you and you and you that everybody wants to point their fingers at are very sick. And Q has alluded to that all the time.
Right.
These people are sick. No shit.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and that acting with compassion, love, that's, you know, that's coming from the heart. That's expansion. That's what consciousness is, an awakening, right?
Yes.
And our future can't remain brighter than anyone can imagine if we don't come from compassion and love.
Okay.
It just, it
Yep.
doesn't work. Energy doesn't flow that way.
Nope, exactly correct. And again, for me, when he's talking about in the latter part of that sentence there, that we will emerge from this challenge stronger and more unified than ever before, that is as a whole as well.
Yes.
Not just the United States. It is for me, again, the where we go one, we go all is very much echoed in this last paragraph here
Absolutely.
in such a
And
huge way.
the dark and the light.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And the dark and the light. Because there's that holding, or going back to, I refer to it as the super source. So you go back into the full energy super source, and you come back out again. And source and that particular entity makes that decision. But yeah.
With all the power and the knowing of source in an individual.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Right.
the last thing that struck me is the way that he said it was in paragraph 37, when he said thank you. The thank you, intoning it, and again, when I was reading it, especially after the paragraph that came right before that, it wasn't just thank you as something you put at the end of a speech, or thank you because someone's applauding or anything like that. It was a genuine connective way of thanks, of gratitude, that we are in this unification, we are in this holding, and thank you for being here, thank you for standing up, thank you for honoring your oath and your bond, and aiding all of us in bringing this to fruition, bringing it home.
Lisa, did you have anything on that one?
No, that was good. No, I like that. And yeah, thank you for bringing home here.
Well, for me, what I would have to go and do a little research before I could say this unequivocally.
Okay.
But in all the times that I have seen presidential addresses, God bless you and God bless America is pretty much standard to say, good night, good luck, right? Kind of things, right? Generally, I do not recall them saying thank you.
No.
And so, more to the point of what you're saying, and quite frankly, I did watch Ms. Pelosi today as she came out directly before the Rose Garden speech. And I don't recall hearing her say that either. And so that's what I'm saying. I feel like, and I could be completely wrong, but as I'm recalling in this old adult brain here, I just don't recall that being something that's done.
No, and it wasn't, and even if it has been done before, it wasn't toned this way. This was unmistakable. The the energy that was imparted in that thank you.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. And I have to tell you too, I was hoping to get it recorded before we met here, but I'm telling you, things are moving so fast I didn't get a chance to. But I will be recording it tomorrow. It was an opinion piece written for the New York Post. And the words were actually said, and now granted it's an opinion piece, but the fact that they actually let it be on the New York Post was kind of telling, that he's very presidential in this, that if there was ever any doubt about him, and I as I'm reading that, I was like, wow, this is very complimentary, and usually they are not.
Right.
And they actually said he just became a wartime president. And so make no mistake, the fellow who wrote that piece, his higher self was in the house too,
Right.
because he recognized this is a war, and not of the medical kind necessarily.
Right.
It's a multidimensional,
Right.
deal, is what I felt.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, what I would say to sum up not only this one, but the series that we've done with a divine number of 7 of them. Just to reiterate that this, and you know, yes, there's interesting things. There's more steps forward in this new one. This is today's 30 some odd pages. And no, we won't cover that page by page. Well, I won't anyways.
I don't think there'll be too many more coming out. We won't have time.
But I did want to just, you know, highlight that this is momentous. What is in here? And we talked about, you know, I kind of painted the picture of the world has changed. And yes, it has, but the paradigm has changed, and the frequency has changed. With this opens the door. This brings everybody in. This dresses them all for the party. Whatever, you know, kind of embellishments and metaphors you want to use with that. But in the living library, this is a document that will be in a place, in a case that is much interacted with and much come into contact with because of the huge pivotal, I'm not sure the right word. It's not moment, it's we step through this.
Yes. Well, and I honestly, I really feel like I said, you know, Lisa and I did a conversation, I would like to point out, 7 days prior to this speech, in which we, both of us, felt very strongly, and it just wouldn't go away from me, that this is the event that's been much talked about and much, you know, much thinking about on a whole bunch of different levels. I really feel like this is the event in a way. And the whole time you were speaking on that in regards to this document, because it is a document, I feel very much the same about this document as I did Executive Order 13818. And that sort of, I don't know, it was like I see what you're doing there, and no, we ain't gonna do this anymore. And this is remember that I said, I see what you're doing there, and we ain't gonna do this anymore. Now it's on. It's game on, and it's go time. So I feel what you're saying there is absolutely so, BZ. And I feel like those two are very, I feel the frequency of both of them being very, very much on par with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out with us, and I want to check in over here and see. I will go back and read everybody's comments. Fawn was saying, I keep picturing Christmas with the cranks in the grocery store racing their carts to get the last I'm sorry. It's just been very, if you haven't seen Magenta Pixies, husband and them, they did something called the toilet paper apocalypse, and
26 seconds, and it's hysterical.
It's hysterical. It's just absolutely hysterical. And it just really, I mean, the memes that are going on right now. Lisa and I saw another one today too, as a baggie full of leaves, and it says organic toilet paper, $10 a bag.
Yeah, the creativity to solve problems is coming out of the woodwork. Let's be real. There is no lack of solutions.
No, there's not. So Love in Action Now said, I'm feeling a lot of things. Relief, this is all being exposed, and sadness for everyone for a variety of reasons, including those who did all of the vile things to others, especially the children. And I realize, I myself have kind of addressed that before. And I want to say this again, everyone that has come to this planet is source embodied, and no one arranged passage here without knowing what they were in for. And for me, that is the most empowering thing I ever finally got to. I get it if that's not your gig and you don't feel like that's the case. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I want it to continue. I'm saying that's what I feel, and everybody's individual. Oh, thank you. Carpe Diem just said 17 viewers. But for me, that's what I feel about that. I don't want anybody to suffer either, but so let's see. Did we ever think that when we say I'm a Democrat or a Republican, we put ourselves in a box and not let ourselves expand? It's a blockage of energy. Yeah, actually, you're right. BZ kind of alluded to that as she was apolitical. I stopped being at all caring about any of that. I saw that it was the two different wings of the same bird back when Ross Perot was running. So I've been kind of apolitical about that too. I guess that's pretty much it. I want to thank everybody for coming and hanging out with us, for especially those of you that stayed with us for this entire thing. This entire series is in a playlist on Conscious Conversation Central. I got some work to do in there a little bit because I think I mislabeled one or two of these videos trying to type to get us going on YouTube, and because I'm typing and talking at the same time, that's about tantamount to chewing gum and walking at the same time for me, apparently. So
yeah, I have to put the show notes up on mine. It just has the title and the photograph.
I gotcha. Well, see, and because we are both recording. I record everything I do, even when I'm doing it live like this, so that I always have it just in case somebody wants to get cute and take my channel down. But I've been letting the lives stay up there, so it takes a little longer. So anyway, I guess that's going to be it for us for this evening, of course, live, but I appreciate all of you guys for hanging out. Let me ask real quick before we do go, all of you are here now. Are you responding? Did you see an invite? Because it seems to me like when I put out an event invite earlier on in the day, we have loads more folks that join us. So if you guys could just chime in real quick about that, I would love it, and let me know how you ended up here. And I guess the only other thing I want to say is, if you're subscribed to BZ and not to Conscious Conversation Central, come over and subscribe to me. And the same here. If you're subscribed at Conscious Conversation Central and not to BZ, go over there and subscribe. Oh, and give a thumbs up, because here's the thing, folks. Apparently, when you give a thumbs up to a video, that does put it out there, helps it to be more seen or something. Now, granted, I know that in the past they've messed around with the algorithms and whatnot, but I think some of that may be going away, and there will be more and more and more folks who are expanding and waking up to all of this. And the more we do what we can to have all of these videos more visible for them could be nothing but help. So help us out with that. I appreciate that. And that's all I have. How about you, ladies? Anything you'd like to add?
Thanks for coming.
Yep, been fun.
Yeah, you enjoyed myself.
Okay, awesome. So till next time. Mwah.
Thank you.